Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. I'm Debbie Rubenstein, and it is March 31st, 2023. The COVID metrics this week are there an average of 58 cases in Mecklenburg County. That's a 20% decrease over the past 2 weeks. Both interviewer and interviewee are comfortable without masks. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So my Chinese name is Jingyu, and you can call me Julie. So myself, and I consider myself as Chinese and a working mom. And I'm generally very in a cheerful and relaxed mode. And most people would describe me as very calm and gentle and always very positive.
That's great. That's great. Can you tell me a little bit about what you look like as well?
Sure. So I have long hair and brown eyes and skin colors yellow and wearing white shirt.
Thank you. That's great. I appreciate it. So you said you're a working mom. How old are your kids?
They're almost 4 and 7.
Almost 4 and 7. So they were 1 and 4 when the pandemic began?
Yes, about, yeah.
And what kind of work do you do?
I'm a controller for a corporate office.
Have you been doing that for a long time?
Yes, so I've been a financial analyst since I started my career.
Yeah. And how long have you been here in Charlotte?
I moved to U.S. about I think it's about 8 years ago. So yeah, Charlotte is the only place I've lived in U.S.
Okay, all right. That's pretty impressive. So can you remember back to March of 2020? Do you remember you had 2 little kids at home? Do you remember hearing about the pandemic or anything about it?
Yeah, I remember it's like right before the Chinese New Year, and we got the information, of course, from China, and the friends in China started to talk about it, and it sounds pretty serious at the time, and then we got worried about the families and friends back in China, but at that time we didn't think it would be a world situation. So I think when it started coming to U.S. is around February or March. That's when actually at that time I just returned back to office from my maternity leave about not for more than a month, and then a month later then we were told just suddenly one day, and the CFO coming to our office said, everyone just go home and don't come back until further notice. And just then we just started to work from home since then, probably for another year.
When you went home, were your kids in daycare at the time?
Yes, so the same day when I got home, and I did the same thing, just picked my kids from their daycare, and at that time my younger one, who's only, I think she is younger than 1, so about 8-month-old, I would say. And that's just her first week in the daycare.
Wow.
And then both of them, actually, they just moved to the new daycare, so for 1 week, and then they never returned to that daycare again.
Wow. So were they in daycare for a week after you were home, or did their daycare shut down the same day your work shut down?
Basically, yeah, I think the daycare shut down for a period of time. I don't remember, maybe like a couple months later when daycare started to open up again. But at that time, we just decided not to, because we just really don't know what this virus looking like. And right. We're working from home anyway, so we decided just keep the kids at home.
So how did that, tell me about that.
It is pretty hard in the beginning because you're still working and with 2 young kids, and at that time there are they still need to be taken care of a lot. But luckily both my husband and I are able to work from home, so we kind of help each other. If I'm in the meeting, then my husband is taking care of the kids, and we just switch back and forth. So it was very challenging for the first 2 months, trying to get the rhythm right and juggle between life and work. But after we get adapt to it, I think it's our new routine, and slowly it gets better. And about 4 months later, and we start to we decided it's just not a long-term setup, so we start to look for a nanny to help us during the day so we can both return to work.
So was it hard to find a nanny because they were in demand, or was it easy because people weren't comfortable having people in their house? How did that process look during the pandemic?
To me, finding a nanny is hard anyway, regardless of the pandemic, because you need to find someone who you can trust and someone who they're good with your kids. It's kind of like a relationship that it's not anybody you can just find. And so for us, we were able to find a nanny through a friend recommendation, but still it's a journey about like finding the right one. So we had to change about 2 to 3 nanny throughout the period until we finally we settled with one nanny, and she's still with us today. So that's very fortunate for us. And that nanny is also from China and from my same hometown. So that makes everyone more comfortable. Like your lifestyle is pretty much the same. So we're really thankful for the person who can help us during that time. Otherwise, it would be a lot harder.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's wonderful. How do you? I don't know where you're from in China. Is it a big place, or is it a small enough place that you might know the nanny's family? I mean, is it something where you can say, oh, like where I'm from, if you're from New Orleans, if we talk for 10 minutes, we may not know each other, but we know people who know each other. You know, we'll get there.
Yeah, I'm from Suzhou, so nanny is from Shanghai, and we are like really close to Shanghai. But both of Suzhou and Shanghai is really big cities, so there's no way.
So no.
It's like a very small coincidence. Yeah.
Not the same. Not the same. That's really interesting, though. And so you had a nanny starting fairly early on, although you had to change nannies, you said. Did you also connect up with other families? I know some families created pods, right?
Yes, same for us. Mm-hmm. So I have a very good friend that live only 5 minutes away from us, and we know each other, and our kids are very similar in age, so they are kind of our supportive family, and probably we didn't see anybody outside of house for at least 4 months, 3 or 4 months, because we're just trying to be cautious, and we didn't go outside, didn't even go to the playground much. But then after that, we decided it's just not healthy for everyone not talk to or social with any people. So then we start to kind of social with very limited amount of friends, just that one and another family. So kind of the 3 of us, we kind of have, like you said, pods. Yeah. So we had regular play dates every week. So we were able to see them, and it's great for both the parents and the kids.
Right. Did they often have nannies as well?
No, they have their parents helping them.
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah,
that's
lucky.
Very helpful. Yeah, that's very nice. And what about managing? How did you manage the conversation with your nanny about your comfort with where she went and what she did, and her comfort with where you all went and what you all did?
Yeah, I guess it becomes easy because both of us from China, so we kind of share the same perspective about what kind of precautions we're doing and how comfortable we are. So we kind of trust each other. That's how you also, the friends that you hang out with, is we know that we'll all be very careful wearing masks and not going to those crazy crowded places. Mm-hmm. So it's just based on trust.
Yeah, that's good. And so your family, much of your family was still back in China?
Yeah, all my family is in China.
Back in China. And is your husband's family also there, or is your husband not from China? I don't know.
Yeah, my husband is a U.S. He's American. Uh-huh. So his family is not in Charlotte, it's in another state.
So how did you all manage? Tell me about talking with your different families about COVID and about what you were each experiencing.
So for us, I guess for me, because my family is in China, and normally before pandemic, we usually either we go back to China or my parents will come, so we are regularly seeing each other at least once a year. So the biggest impact will be I'm not able to see them for, I think it's more than 3 years now. And probably we won't be able to go back this summer either, but the parents are really missing their grandchild. So I think that is probably the biggest impact for us due to the COVID.
Can you not go back because of COVID, or?
Right now it's not because of COVID, it's mainly because of the flight and the visa situation. They just opened the visa. So right now for visa purpose, there's no problem, but it's still super expensive for the flight and not enough flight.
Was your family, so China had much more restrictive policies from the beginning than America did, and had a much lower rate of infection. Was your family concerned about you here?
I think at the beginning they are concerned because the kind of people in China heard about the news over here, especially in New York, but because we are in Charlotte and that we know that like we don't live like in a very condensed, how do I say, like people crowded area,
right.
So you don't use too much public transportation. So for me, I'm less concerned, and I don't have any more like elderly people in the house, and both of us are pretty young. So for us, my parents are less concerned about.
Yeah, that's good. And so, there you are. You've figured out how to continue working. You've figured out how to continue caring for your kids. Tell me more about what were some of the most difficult challenges?
Difficult, I think for us, it's mainly, like I said, the social time. That's, especially I'm concerned about the kids. And the younger one, she used to have a personality is very, like she's pretty open. And before COVID, I always host lots of story times and have events at the house. So she's used to be with people and with strangers. And I find after the month of quarantine, and she started to appear like she's scared of strangers, but it also could be an age, like she's just at that stranger danger period. I couldn't tell whether it's due to COVID or not, but I think it must be kind of related to that because she's just not used to be with people anymore. Even at the playground, like when we see the playground there's too many people, we'll say, oh no, we don't go because too many people. We only go to a place where not too many people or nobody's there, and then we'll go. So then she will have the perspective, just stay away from people. Yeah. So that's when I find it's not good to always quarantine them at home. It's better to, at least you need a small social group that they still can interact with people outside of their family.
Right.
And then that also took us a while. So after the COVID kind of settled down, we were more open to take them, and then we start to have meetups at least outside, and I think it helps a lot once they start to go back to social again. But it definitely brings challenges.
Yeah. Your oldest must have started school while in lockdown. She
started school, actually it's right after the lockdown. So for the oldest, she got pretty lucky that she missed 1 year at school, like the pre-K age. So for the four-year-old period, she just stayed at home for the whole year. And then once she joined the kindergarten, that's just I think it's just first year of the normal school, no more virtual learning and things.
That's good.
Yeah, but she does get some virtual classes, like right before we get some extra curriculum. At that time, everything is online. It's getting more popular about those lots of online story times. And then I signed up for her for some like online Chinese class. It's like, so she get an experience of the virtual learning as well, even though she.
How did that go?
She actually surprised me. She did pretty good. Like she is very focused. So most of the parents complain about the virtual learning and says that they just don't learn anything after it's switched to virtual, and it's a very hard time to let them sit in front of the table. But for my daughter, she can at least handle a 1 hour class with no problem. So I like the virtual learning, so I can kind of see how's the teacher teaching and how is she interact. So I kind of like it's an interesting experience.
Were the kids more exposed to computers and online experiences because of COVID than they would have been had there not been a pandemic?
Yeah, I believe so. Because before I kind of restrict their TV time, but if you're staying at home for the whole day, they kind of need a break. That's just from the screen, especially when I'm working. If I have meeting, then I can just let her watch a 30-minute video or something. So
what happens after? So now, did it mean that you are now more comfortable with those online experiences, or did you end up trying to pull back their online experiences after now that we're in a post phase? How did you manage that?
Right now, actually, I'm more comfortable just because she is older now. So I'm mainly concerned before 3-year-old, I'm more restrict on the TV. And gradually, I think it's okay to allow them some TV time. And right now it's the new technology age. It's a different world. And as long as they are taking breaks and using the bigger screen and not just always have their, stay close to the phone. And I'm mainly concerned about their eyes. But I think the online resource, it can be very helpful if you use it the right way.
Yeah, that's great. And so your husband also was working from home,
Yes.
right? What kind of work does he do?
He is an engineer, so at that time, actually his work is not completely remote type, but for a period of time, because everybody is in quarantine, so he's able to work. So, and then after that, he kind of returned back to office 50% of his time.
Yeah. And what was it like for the two of you to be together in the house?
For us, we don't have any issue being. I know some people will say, I have colleagues that they're salespeople and they used to travel all the time, and I'll say that I can't stand after 2 weeks with my husband in the same building. I'm ready to go somewhere. But for us, I'm doing my own thing and he's doing his own thing. It doesn't cause any problem for us.
That's good. That's wonderful. Can I ask you, if you're comfortable sharing anything from your hand map, can I ask you what were some of the things that you see as positives coming out of the pandemic?
Positives. Trying to find where.
The gifts or good things, I think they were the things you wrote down here.
Okay. So, yeah, I think from work point of view that we get the opportunity to work remotely from home, that's definitely a game change for us. And that changed lots of people's perception of work. So for our office, before pandemic, we have 4 remote work days every month. So we kind of already doing a trial of this remote work thing. And for my type of job, it can be 100% remote because I can't communicate anybody from the computer. So I think that the remote work and how the company managed to get everyone work productively and efficiently and get all the technology right, I think that's definitely a gain and the change, saved everybody's time and commute and allow us to.
Can you continue, or did they continue to allow you to work remotely?
Yes. So I think at the beginning we did 100% remote working for a year. And after that, company kind of start to evaluate the whole market and the people's perception of how they're doing. And we slowly, we did 1 day in the office and under 50% capacity, just gradually start to come back to the office. But then we kind of set right now at 2 days a week. So that's everyone feel it's a kind of sweet spot. We need some social time. I usually go to office once a week, 1 day a week, just for that you need that time with another adult and your colleagues, and you need that coffee chat to know each other, not only on the business side, you also need to the personal side. So I think it's people are very happy about this arrangement.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Are there other things you'd like to share when you look at your map?
So, I guess Another thing was the time that I can be with my family and the baby, because the baby at that time was still very young, and with my older one that I went back to work when she turned 4 months. 3 months right after the FMLA leave. And with the second one, I was lucky that I negotiated with work to work from home for another 3 months after the family leave. So at least for the first 6 months, I'm already been there with her. I was able to breastfeeding, and I enjoyed that time. And then like 1 month back to work, and then I'm back to home again. So I didn't miss anything in her growing stage. I was there with her first step and any first that I am with her, and I'm able to breastfeed until she naturally weans. So I think that's why I find my second child, she is much more and a secure. Her personality is very calm and gentle and secure. So I think that part of it is because that she is with her mom all the time.
Oh, that's nice.
So that's definitely a win. And with my older one, I think the benefit during this pandemic is also because I'm at home with her for a year, so her Chinese level went up to a next level.
That's great.
So before I'm always consist about talking to her only in Chinese, but because she goes to daycare and she always speaks with like a mix of English and Chinese and always have an accent. And then that year with me at home, and I read to her at least 2 hours every day. And I start to teach her writing and reading Chinese. So her Chinese, the proficiency is like super good and without any accent. So my parents are very proud. Wow, I can't tell that you're from US.
Oh, that's
like
great.
at that time, she can read the stories and people can tell that she was born in US.
Oh, that's great. That's wonderful.
Yeah, so
Is she attending a Chinese immersion school?
that was my original plan, is when she started kindergarten, I'd like her to go to one of those immersion schools. But because of that year with me at home and her Chinese, her skills is way beyond that. So I figured if she goes to the school, then she would feel bored because they're still learning from the beginning how to follow directions and those basics. So I think I would just continue to teach her by myself. That's also when I discovered my ability in education. Like I never thought that I would be a teacher before, but because of my daughter, I kind of have to, because I couldn't find any good material on the market that's provide the learning experience that I want for her. So I kind of worked with some of the other friends who share the same method or same value with me. So we kind of have a small group of people working on. We build our own PowerPoint, like the teaching material, and teach the small group of child. So child from that group, their Chinese level is like same level as my daughter. So I think it's great to form the small group learning experience.
And is it something you're thinking about you might consider doing professionally?
Probably not, because I know that I am not a teacher, but I am helping them part-time because I like doing it's kind of also part of my professional is I'm good with PowerPoints and putting together things, but I will leave the teaching to the professionals.
And how were you able to connect up with so many other families who shared your same background and had the same interest?
I would say thanks to the chatting app, the WeChat. So like everyone I kind of know and hear is through that app. And like anybody you know, then you kind of just shared with your friends and friends. Then everybody kind of know each other. And during the pandemic, there are so many groups are formed at the time, like homeschool group, because the parents are, I guess, parents are definitely more involved with their child's education during the pandemic. Because before you probably just hand the kids to school and then you don't know much about it. And since they start to learn at home, then the parents all of a sudden, they're the teacher assistant.
Yeah.
They need to help with all the homework and even the teaching sometimes. So all the parents are more like have a deeper understanding of their child's learning needs and parents are start to discussing, okay, which curriculum is good. Like before that, you didn't even do any research about which curriculum they're using at school. And now I'm the experts on which is the math curriculum and what is the reading.
That's great.
And you're doing all kinds of like you're learning from other homeschool moms. Even we don't plan to long-term homeschool, but for that 1 year that you kind of have to learn, what do you teach to your child? And so I think I learned a lot more about my child and their learning ability and what kind of teaching method suits them. So I learned a lot about her during that year.
Do you think that has changed your relationship with your daughter's teachers now?
At that time, she doesn't, because she's not in kindergarten at the time. So for us, it's a little different.
But I mean, now that you feel you understand so many things about her, does it change the way you connect with her current teachers?
I guess so, yeah. So I will let the teacher know, like, she likes to learn this way. And yeah, I would say I can provide more information about my daughter.
During the pandemic, there was a lot of political conversation about the pandemic as coming from China, and there were some, there were some hate crimes and some other things. Was that something you were following? Is that something that concerned you? Did that have any impact on your life?
Personally, it doesn't impact my life, but I did hear, and I think also the Chinese community over here did some actions about, because mainly most of the people that I know, they didn't really experience any hate crimes or anything themselves, but mainly worried about just from the bigger picture, like what the whole society is viewing the Asian Americans. And we were more worried about, because our child is born here and they will live here for a long time, and we want to create that safe environment for them. And so we did some like actions, and also I think our work is also we formed the AAPI ERG group, just bring more awareness.
And so what kinds of things did you all do? What did you get involved in?
I think we helped. I didn't really, mainly just helping with the volunteers, and I think at the time they're sending out the signs, and just, to me it's more supporting. Yeah.
Are there things about you that you think are different because of the pandemic? When you think about yourself, do you think it changed you in any way?
I think you kind of it's like a pause in your life. Before, you're just like super busy, fast paced, and then all of a sudden, like, you're quarantined at home and there's not much going on, and it kind of allows you to look back and get more focused on your family. So for me, I think I grow myself more, like self-improvement, and I start to balance better with life and work, and start to focus more on grow myself and do what things that I like. And I had new hobbies, and
what kinds of hobbies did you pick up?
It's mainly my daughter, whatever she is learning. So we started learning piano at the time. So when she started learning piano, I started as well. And then we also, the moms, so we have a small group of people. We learned singing with a teacher. It's just like for fun, and we just need some social time. And so we did lots of online classes, like online singing, online piano. And now I'm doing dancing. It just, yeah.
That's lovely.
Yeah. I just find that you just want to do more things that you enjoy instead of just working.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I think that happens in your 30s and 40s anyway.
Yeah.
And I think with the, you
Probably.
think, oh, I've been working so hard for so long.
Yeah.
Am I there yet? Can I enjoy something?
Yeah.
And you start to think, oh, this is nice. But I think I can see how the pandemic might accentuate that, and sort of bring it up and say, oh, here's something.
Yeah, I see lots of people slow down their life and just live the more quiet, and you don't need to do millions of things every day. Just relax.
Do you think you've been able to hang on to some of that quiet, or are things back the way they were before?
I'm still able to hang on. I think because of I think the main change is because of the work that you're able to stay home and work, so we don't have to be super hurry about the morning routine and all the the commute from work, so that helps a lot.
Did you guys reconfigure your space at home to allow you to work easily?
Because we already have an office, and
Yeah.
we were already working from home, so we kind of just added more monitors.
Makes sense. Well, was there any time during the pandemic that you stepped in to help support someone else? Sorry, lots of pauses in that question. Was there a time that you can remember that you were called on to help someone else out or support someone else? And that's without judgment. You had two small beings, so I'm just wondering.
Yeah, because at that time I didn't really talk to too many people, but like some friends, and because I'm always the person like who is kind and supportive. So like I like to support my friends and help anyway. So it doesn't really, due to the pandemic, we kind of just check with everyone and make sure that if anybody I see that's stressful and I'd like to talk to them. And because I'm a very positive people, most of my friends said after talking to you, I feel just much better, much relaxed. And I don't feel like I really did anything, but just chat with them. And I guess your mood and your attitude will kind of affect them as well when they're talking to someone who is positive about everything. Then they probably will just think, okay, life is not that bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, is there anything else you want to be sure and share about your experience in the pandemic, or about your experience here in Charlotte, or about you?
I think we covered most of the things on my. Yeah, so I guess in summary is I find that the pandemic is, for us, it has its good side and its bad side, and both of it's related to like the time spending. I guess before pandemic, you spend more time with people outside your family. You have lots of friends and you're meeting new person all the time. And during that pandemic period, we missed that part. But what we gain is that we kind of have a smaller group. So your core group of people, you're kind of more unite together. And I'm able to spend more time with my husband, with my child, and even I'm not with my parents, but I find that I actually talk to them more over the video because I'm working from home. So usually in the morning, and that's their nighttime, and that's usually when we talk. And So actually, I'm able to talk to them almost every day as long as I'm not busy, super busy that day. And so I think that's actually increased our communication with the parents because
That's really nice.
you don't need to spend too much time talking to other people. Then you are just spend more time talking to the people that you love and care.
That's really nice. That's really beautiful. I found the same thing with my family. We're scattered. And
Yeah.
we suddenly had a weekly call on Zoom,
Yeah.
all of us together. It was really nice.
Yeah,
and
no.
you continued it.
And I've also, for my parents, because when the child's go into the daycare and they are not able to see them most of the time, and for that year, everybody's staying at home, so actually they're seeing them more and talk to them more during that year.
Do you think your kids know your parents better? I mean, your parents got to see them more. Your kids are little, though.
Yeah.
Do you think they know your parents better than they would have?
Yes, definitely, with all that communication. But the only thing we're missing is the physical one. Like, you can't really hug and hold and kiss them. That's the part we're missing.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. And
So-
it's hard.
So hopefully soon, and after this whole pandemic thing behind us, and with all the international flight coming back, and we're able to go back and visit them.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Flights are very expensive. They really have gotten very expensive.
Yeah.
So here's hoping they come
Yeah,
down.
we're just hoping everything go back to normal.
Yes, agreed. Well, thank you. Thank you for your time. I really do appreciate it.